Let's turn our attention to a debate which came up the other day. Your mate Jamie Carragher suggested something the other day, got involved in a bit of a Twitter spat. Did you see this, Danny?
I saw bits, yeah. I saw Rio's response as well.
He said Virgil van Dijk was a Rolls Royce of the Premier League. The former defender took to social media to back Virgil van Dijk after criticism being levelled at the defender. VVD said he's far better than Vidic, who was a top-class centre-back. But have you forgot his performances against Torres? Rio and JT had poor seasons in their career like all players. VVD is having one now. No centre-back in the Premier League era has ever had Virgil van Dijk's impact on a team. Never mind the best centre-back in the league. He's been the best player in the league, along with Kevin De Bruyne, for 4 years before this one. Is that right?
There's a lot of that I agree with. I think Virgil's impact was phenomenal on what Liverpool achieved. Without him, they wouldn't have achieved it. I think that's fair to say.
Do you think he was the best player in the league?
Well, we'd have to go through each season and analyse. I can't. Although I do have some spare time, I don't really keep abreast of the last 4 seasons and keep it fresh in my mind. But
I think he's in with a shout the year they won the title, isn't he?
Pardon?
I think he's in with a shout the year they won the title.
I think for a few years he was the best centre. I think for 3 years he was probably the best centre half in Europe, if not the world. And he set this remarkably high bar of perfection. Nobody dribbling past him. X amount of clean sheets.
That was a statistic that went doing the rounds for ages.
But he was a Rolls Royce. He was super fit, super hungry, super calm. He read the game well. His passing was exquisite. This season he has dropped off from the levels he's set himself. There's no doubt about that.
You keep saying was. What's happened?
I think there's quite a few reasons. Obviously, he lost a little bit of confidence, as they all did when the beginning of the season didn't go so well. He had different partners who struggled alongside him, which haven't helped him. Physically, I don't think he's probably as good as he was. Doesn't quite look as good as he was. But we are still talking about a remarkable player. I mean, last year when Liverpool nearly won all 4, he was pivotal in that. Because some people try and pull it back to this injury with the Pickford injury. It's not been the same since then. I don't agree with that. I thought he was great last season. But in terms of
he said that himself, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't feel the same since the injury.
He said he hasn't felt the same since the injury.
Yeah, I think he did.
It's taken him a long time to get back into full shape.
Which actually suggests his performances last season were even better because he's fighting against the physical aspect of an injury that he hasn't quite overcome. But in terms of the comparisons, I think it's a difficult one. We are talking about top centre-halves that they're arguing about. If you're asking me a simple question, well, I'll answer a simple question. Prime Virgil van Dijk, God, I'm using the kids' language now. It's what they say when FIFA, isn't it? When prime card. The best version of Virgil van Dijk, I would have ahead of Vidic all day, every day, and twice on Sunday.
Okay, prime Vidic, prime Carragher, prime JT, prime Rio Ferdinand. Who are you picking?
I'm not sure Carragher's in that list, with respect.
Well, he's defending against Thierry Henry that day was particularly entertaining. Did you see that clip, by the way, that was doing the rounds earlier in the week? It was brilliant. I'd
probably go prime Rio.
Yeah.
But JT's a big one as well because of the amount of goals. Prime Rio's probably up there for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Well, there's no point in asking you because we know what you're going to say.
But Virgil at his best reminded me very much of Rio at his best.
Virgil van Dijk
or
Gary Pallister.
So many years Rio Ferdinand did it for.
Yeah, but he had the odd bad season.
He had the odd bad season. I don't know if he had odd bad season. Is that fair, or the odd bad spell?
Yeah, maybe bad spell. I again, my analysis on Man United isn't refreshed regularly. I don't go down the DVD route of looking at United's most successful seasons, but he was phenomenal, Rio, and I had the pleasure of playing with him for England a few times, so I did see it for myself. I mean, he could have played midfield easily. One
of the things you didn't mention there when it comes to reasons for Virgil's drop-off this season, the midfield in front of him?
Maybe, yeah. Players around him, yeah. I think the whole thing is, there's so many aspects of Liverpool that have dropped below, and he's one of them. So, yeah, the midfield in front could be... Fabinho's been fantastic, and this season he's been well off it, hasn't he? So, yeah, I think it's a good point. First one today, well done.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think you said earlier in the week about the need to sort of use the rest of the campaign to experiment, and midfield certainly is an area where they did experiment at the weekend. I was at Anfield on Sunday.
I know, it's like he read my piece, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm joking, of course. I think that was a sensible thing to try and do. To try and get that Liverpool defence to shuffle round and play more of a 3 when Trent goes in was something that I think was worth the risk. I know he had a poor first half and Martinelli was on fire, but
it didn't work in that first half. He looked a little bit lost, wandering into midfield and sort of it meant that Konate had to go out towards that far side. It left a big gap.
But you can't, some of those things take a little bit of time. It doesn't matter how many days you do them in training. If you're going to do it in a match of that magnitude against such high quality opposition, you're going to get found out a bit. But I like the fact that it was something different. Trying something different. And
Is that what they've got to do with him over the course of the next few weeks and months? They've got to try and move him into that sort of John Stones-esque position, because that's where you're going to get the best out of Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, but then you need 3 really good defenders alongside him who are going to go along and fill that space. I'm not sure that Liverpool, as a defensive unit, can compete with Manchester
City. Yeah, but they've got the opportunity to work on that. That takes time and to be able to do that, and it's something that Pep did over the course of a season. You know, that was just, like Danny's mentioned in his column, I think, you know, this season for Liverpool is probably not going to end in the way that they wanted it to. They're probably not going to achieve top 4, so they might as well spend the time that they've got over the next few weeks preparing themselves.
Correct, but it doesn't have to be like City and Arsenal do with an inverted fullback. It could be just 2 wing backs, because if you play 3 centre, where do you put Robertson then? Because Robertson loves to fly forward.
I don't think he's had a great season either. I mean, Trent gets a lot of criticism, but Robertson's
at least
not
every
been at
time
his
Robertson
best.
has a bad game, he's still at it physically, still putting himself about and flying into people. I think playing wing backs could be worth a go for a good period of games. Get another centre half, play 3 centre halves, and let them 2 fly. The problem is with that, he's got 5 forwards, and he likes to play wide players. So where do you then play? Do you play Salah in a 2? Where, you know, all these different options. But why not have a look at it? Why not have a look at it? We talk about changing personnel all the time. Sometimes as well, changing tactics can help a team.
So would you be concerned then as a Liverpool fan, bearing in mind the top 4 is probably off the table now, if Jurgen Klopp spends the rest of this season being a bit experimental with his lineup, you're okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
You also mentioned in your column that you think Darwin Nunez should get a run as the centre forward, and that they should add a new member of staff. What do you mean by that?
Well, it was a column where I was going through some options that could be in his head, may or may not be. It's not me telling someone what to do, knows how to run a club better than I. But Darwin Nunez, for me, is somebody who could be a really special forward because of the attributes he's got. Phenomenal pace, great aerial ability, 2 feet. He obviously he's got to improve his finishing, but he gets lots of chances. And his game, his work ethic's tremendous. Now, I think you lose a bit from him playing him wide. I understand why he does. I understand why he has at times. But I don't think he's a creator. I think he's somebody who gets on the end of things, not creates things for others. I think you want him on the end of other people's creativity, not trying to be the creator himself from wide areas. And I think he's played his best season of his career in Portugal as a striker. He's used to playing that role. He's somebody who I think other players need to get used to in terms of the runs he makes, when he's coming to feet, when he's spinning behind, where to look for him on the crosses. And if you keep playing him wide and not giving him the consistency in a forward position, you delay his progress, I think. I think the bigger picture for Jurgen should be, right, what's going to be my best 11 when I need it to be? Like, Liverpool's success has come generally with a similar 11 and similar formation. Now, they tweaked it as the years went on a little bit, one player come in, etc. But the front 3 pretty much picked itself for a long time, didn't it? Now, it wasn't an out-and-out 9, but it was a balanced front 3 that all knew each other. And the midfield of whoever it was at the time knew where those front 3 were going to be. The problem is with too much choice at times, you don't build these little relationships.
Partnerships.
So important. Yeah. Where does he run? You know, so I'll give you a great example. When I played with Darren Bent, I quickly knew where he was going to be all the time without even looking. And that's because we played together every week. Now, if you were mixing it up, 1 week another forward, Bartlett 1 week, and then Bentley the next week, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, where's he going? What's he doing? And I think Nunez at the minute, playing wide, tracking fullbacks, they don't know where he's going to, don't know what he's going to do. I don't think he knows what he's going to do sometimes, running down that wing. Play him up front, give him a chance, because Gakpo is not, you can't tell me Gakpo, although he's a good player, is going to be a more rounded centre forward than Nunez. He's not.
No.
He doesn't look like a centre forward. He looks like someone.
Well, he's one off a centre forward, isn't he? He
he's a
plays
10
either
or he's a
as
wide man.
10 or a wide player.
He was a player they didn't really need
to
invest in. If we talked about cutting their cloth accordingly, their financial restraints.
A midfield player, that's what they needed, and
but
they're going to need that in the summer.
2 midfielders,
and that's something that
and a centre back.
Well, they had Diaz. They've got Diaz. They've got Jota. They've got Salah.
So they didn't need Gakpo.
And they've got Nunez, and they've also got the young lads of Carvalho. And they didn't. I'm not sure they really needed Gakpo. I agree with you.
And maybe they were influenced by the price, actually, because they got a very good deal on Cody Gakpo after the World Cup when everybody was talking about him, and they did manage to get that done for 35 million quid, which was a bit of a bargain.